you have been victimized. It's like saying first, oh no, you were not given a fair shot. Oh no, everyone's expectations of you were this instead of that. So the healing of the invalidation of your existence by the roles you were asked to play, and then recognizing, okay, so who are you instead, and how do you, with your value systems, operate and want to move about the world, and then can you do it?
Friends, today I'm sitting down with Ginelle, a clinician who's not afraid to tell the truth about burnout, self care, and radical self love. She shares how parenting cracked open her heart and reshaped her work, plus, how values and small coping skills can help you feel less powerless and more in control. This one is packed with tools that you can use right now. So let's jump in.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I like to just jump right in because anybody listening to this doesn't have a lot of time. And so I like to get to it. You, if I read it correctly, once said that no one's immune from hardship, that we're all in one traumatic event. We're one event away from losing ground. How did this realization come to you, and how has it shaped your path along case management, homelessness, and counseling?
Oh man, so we are so vulnerable as humans. We need our bodies to work well. We need our systems to work well. We need our homes. We need our communities for belonging and resources. I call them survival tokens, like money, to get through the world. And without a lot of those things, or missing any number of those things, we are into some vulnerable circumstances. It's like competitive to live at this point. And it's not okay. But it's real. So having kind of started my career in community mental health, foster youth, locked facility, behavior management stuff, I saw, having come from my really sheltered upbringing, the world is rough, and not all so tidy and suburban like the life I was afforded. And so having seen that, I was like instantly different from my family of origin, who had never seen that stuff or lived that stuff, and different from the people I was serving. So then moving into the pathway that I was taking, I was fully in belief, but different from some other privileged minds, that bad stuff is real. It is happening to people. And the belief of that is what grounds my ideology. Ultimately is like, yeah, bad stuff is happening, and people who can help should be helping. And so ultimately, having gone into different settings, I was aware that like people are in group homes for personal care management and living developmentally disabled lives with or without purpose and support, and needing care. So I heard some stories of the people that I was serving in a setting like that, and found that they were also maybe just like me to start their life. And it could have been one, huffing mistake as a teenager that turned them into a wheelchair-bound personal care assistance needing person for the rest of their lives, or they could have been born with disabilities that resulted in their care in group homes. So there's a number of ways people can arrive at not being okay and needing support. And then, I mean, I think just for a third example, like in homeless services, supporting folks after knowing that, in my bio, that's how I got that job, was saying, I know I'm only one step away from being exactly in the position of the people we were about to serve. But anyway, so I was doing a lot of intake interviews for veterans experiencing and exiting homelessness, and some patterns started emerging, and I could see that it wasn't even one thing, but it may have been a series of cascading events that caused people to lose ground, and it feels just very much like like an actual slippery slope. One hardship can sort of beget the next, and before you know it, you are without most of your resources. And some of that is fully accidental. People die, people have accidents, and it's just really competitive to live right now. So, yeah, I too am close to the edge sometimes, but also with a different amount of resources that I draw on and also try to create. So,
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for us to be able to recognize that we all have this in common, living in this current society with everything going on, that all it takes is one bad car accident, a house fire, natural disaster, you know, getting sued for something, cancer, and then all your resources are gone. And not everybody has someone to help them. They don't all have a family member or a friend who can step up.
yeah,
And that's scary. And we tend not to like to think about that. But I think it's important.
yeah.
Um,
And I also think we're operating on that edge. There are so many people, I would say, identifying as a millennial, like talking about the resource lack compared to the what we were brought up with and the way
Mhm.
that things don't feel safe. We're actually operating in survival mode much more than we signed up for. That it isn't always felt, but like when you're just making ends meet and you're like fine socially, but economically it's iffy. You're actually in kind of trauma all the time, or the
the
threat
nervous system
of
is
it.
overactive.
You can't relax and you can't do creativity and you can't do joy and stuff.
We are in the state we're in where we have so much that we could prosper. I mean, AI, and I can go to the grocery store. I don't have to go hunt and gather. And yet, we, four of us, are stuck in this survival mode of just barely getting by, of constantly being worried about one extra bill putting you over. And yet, we're all just okay with
No, I don't think a lot of us are okay with it. I'm gonna go and just say in the simplest of terms that the system we're in is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and that there are a tremendous amount of resources concentrated somewhere else and in the hands of very few and being expended by very few people, or hoarded actually by very few people. Um, and so the wealth distribution, I'd say, is that thing, aka capitalism in its late stages, and other disasters that we should probably stay away from, right? There's my avoidance, right? Oh, I don't want to talk about the bad thing. Right? Like we're in this trauma right now where everyone's looking at the disparity globally, nationally. Yeah, it's grievous and egregious.
yes. And I don't know. It's one of those difficult things as a therapist where you're as any type of help, you are so much in that mode of, okay, well, what is the positive? What can you do? What tools do you have? What do you have control over? And I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm like, you don't control a lot right now. And that really freaking sucks. And
Yeah.
so as a therapist, I don't think it's ethical for me to lie to you. It's frowned upon within the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
But also, how am I helping you if the system is truly stacked against you? Sometimes it's just so maddening because it's like you can only support so much because there's things that you have. I
Hmm.
don't think we have the best way to speak to it or talk about it. But it sounds
Yeah.
like you're working on that with your practice.
I'd say so. So that is a little bit about how feminist analytic therapy works or is oriented about. It's like recognizing how much we are taught to actually pathologize ourselves into illness, my anxiety, my depression, when are so mainstream and identified with and deeply held and cared for. Um, and we are in a context that needs to be like recognized. So where did you get the ideas about what you're supposed to be doing as a woman? Where do you get the ideas of how being a man is? Or other gendered ideas that basically are either holding people into roles that they aren't suited for or are. And also like feminist theory is all about is systems and symbols. And so we are looking at like, does this have to be how it was handed to you, or can you use your empowerment to change it? So it isn't about saying, all right, you just buck up and go get that job,
Dirt
right?
on it.
it's it's like saying first, oh no, you were not given a fair shot. Oh no, everyone's expectations of you were this instead of that. So the healing of the invalidation of your existence by the roles you were asked to play. And then recognizing, okay, so who are you instead? And how do you, with your value systems, operate and want to move about the world? And then can you do it? So moving out of the helpless position of ouch, this hurts. I am a victim of systems. So first, actually starting at victim, you have been victimized. If not by your gender
Validating that and naming it.
by also the capitalism, right? So it doesn't matter about gender necessarily, but that this is about empowerment and this is about being real about who has power and who wants to claim some, and and also like how much influence we can enact on the world. Some of it won't be done by just us as one people, but we can also heal up and know we are making a difference that's enough as one person if we heal as one person.
I think that's so important, that idea that healed people make better, healthier choices.
Yeah, and can resist and invent new things and be like create a different society where no, I'm gonna reject that, maybe that employment option, and try to create something, or leave that employer who tends to exploit us all and go somewhere where they treat people better. And so it's voting with your dollar, but voting with your labor is worthy as a cause too.
Now, do you have a lot of people coming to you seeking that, or are you educating people more that this view does exist within therapy? What are you kind of finding right
now? So I don't put like feminist analytic therapy. I think it might be like front and center on my website, but I don't like talk about it that blatantly. It is my operating style, and it comes out when relevant. And the other model I'm always operating under is trauma. And then beyond that, we're in analysis and the background and all the story and narrative. But patients don't always know all of our theories and the ways that we can be treating people. So being integrative of like, what is the moment calling for is more how I work. Of like, okay, if someone is talking about their limitations, and like, where did you get the idea that you could only X or that you were expected to Y? That's using the feminist lens right there. Is like, who imposed this role on you? And was it passed down or was it cultural? Especially when it's coming to things like bodies, obsession or not really obsession, but fixation and attention on changing oneself in these ways that are to please the masses that care about you. Working on that kind of stuff with people sometimes.
So you blend it in.
Yeah, it's around. And then sometimes a person has like read my whole website and is like, I want this. And
So they come in ready.
And sometimes men are saying, I want a feminist therapist because I am a feminist and I want to show up in this way or figure out how I'm supposed to behave. And that's one thing, if I could say with a microphone today, is like, if in case it is not already clear, feminism is for everyone. It is not about women exclusively. It
Yes.
is, yeah, like
We need
the
our
patriarchy.
men to help us.
The
We want them.
patriarchy harms men, and the patriarchy and feminism are not actually opposites. They're two different entities. And there's so much more to explore about that, but ultimately, all people are impacted by patriarchy as a I don't know, a power in our world.
But I mean, if you're in partnership and your partner's not doing well, that impacts you. And if your family isn't doing, that impacts you. And I don't think men in particular are given that lens at moment to have that conversation, to have an aha, like, oh yeah, this does impact me negatively because it impacts my spouse or my child or my niece, whatever the situation is, right?
The
And I-
expectation that you can't cry, that anger is more appropriate, like, or that you don't get an emotional education by the norms of being a boy raised in
Yeah.
the United States. It's a big deal, and that is a harm, and
Absolutely.
it harms partners who need emotional care.
No, I think that's a great point and something that needs to get out there more and in conversation more, that men need to be feminist and men going to therapists who have this approach would greatly benefit them. And it's not an attack on them. It's
Mhm.
actually to help them
Yes,
as well.
yes, yes, yes.
Now, before we go to your moment where you guide us, you said that transitioning into private practice was radical self-care. And I never thought of it that way.
How did you think of it?
Well, honestly, it's a story, but my spouse kind of, they knew what they were doing and said, oh, you're never going to
Oh,
cook the beer. And being from Chicago, I was very much like, oh yeah, watch me. So didn't really have a lot of forethought, to be quite honest, about private practice.
I love it.
I had been a therapist for many years doing contract work, but never full time before. And then as I've gotten into it, I've been able to get to have a better sense of what it means for me. But I never thought of it being radical self-care.
I just love that. I found you as kindred in that share because one of the first things I said in the first job interview when I was entering that San Francisco locked setting was, I like to do things that people think I can't do. And that is coming from like blondes are dumb as in my childhood.
Yes, I got that all the time. I was told I give blondes a bad name.
The
No, I
blonde
have
joke.
ADHD. you blonde. But
Blondes.
girls don't have that.
I try to give blondes a smart name, and it's become a little bit excessive how much I've had to prove my intelligence, and I don't have to do that anymore. But yes, so let's see. In doing hard things and proving that we can do those things. This transition story is how I stopped trying to prove that. So I had about eight or so years of experience in mental health, not yet licensed, and I had seen a lot of things. I had like just a full trauma education, all the stuff, but without knowing that it was actually in the middle of paradigm shift toward trauma as the main stage. And I was burning out a good bit. I have since become a certainly burnout prevention and response focused and obsessed individual. So I try to live my life through anti-burnout lenses, and
Or
it's been an approach, and the outcomes are kind of panning out right now, where I'm looking around at my life like, ah, my gosh, this is actually good. I think I might be safe. um, so basically, I I was at a crossroads right after graduating grad school and getting licensed. I was in the job interview kind of rounds, and they were taking their time. There was some time between interview and offer. And in that time, I simply opened a business. And I was going to employ me faster than uh, than they were, and I was going to employ me better than they were. It was always my goal to get into the room and sit across from a patient and not necessarily be, but I didn't think I was worthy of that immediately or whatever. And I had a lot of questions about, am I allowed to do this right now?
Yeah.
But I also wasn't totally green as a clinician and exiting grad school. So I made sure I was well surrounded by supervisors and elders and folks I could learn from, and made a community mental health system for my practice. Um, and ultimately, what happened in the years following, well, there have now been 6 years of this, and I realized that I was trying to get away from the overstimulation of excess relationship in work. So if you think about how much relationship we do, how much communicating we do with the patients, which is the first priority, where I was getting energy leak was navigating professional relationships in doing the work. So having empathy for your coworker, watching your coworker struggle,
Yeah.
managing dynamics with management and all that stuff. It's like it's possible, it's doable, but the amount of like either masking or like performing was too much, I think. And my wisdom, I could have said that to you 6 years ago, but ultimately my need for introversion and doing less came through. And I said, I think I just have to do what I have to do for my ability to treat people. And the crossroads was, should I go work and support a population known as like law enforcement and first responders, which would have been really interesting for me as a trauma specialist and burnout obsessionado? Or can I just take care of myself and temper my trauma load starting now? And I passed on the opportunity to serve first responders and law enforcement, which again, I could have been a very special candidate to do that. Mentally, in the years that followed, would have been a wild ride. And I thank myself for not needing to prove my intelligence anymore at that point.
So you chose yourself
Yeah.
as radical self-love. That is just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had asked a person at that time, I was like, is this the wrong choice or the right choice? And they were just like, there is no wrong choice. There's only the choice.
Figuring out what's right or wrong for you as the individual. And unfortunately, you won't know in the moment, that lovely hindsight, but it sounds like you made the best choice for you and has allowed you to become an even better clinician because you're now so burnt out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And it's been, a wonderful journey, kind of being the sole arbiter of like, how much energy do I have, do I use, or how do I make use of my boundaries and enact a system that actually lets me treat people long term and well, and show up all the time. I never miss. So it's great.
Wonderful. All right. Would you please lead us in a guided pause?
Yeah. I'm going to read a poem that I was shown back in my internship, and it is by Adrienne Marie Brown, who is an amazing activist now located in North Carolina. This poem can be found in Pleasure Activism, and It is called Radical Gratitude Spell. It is a spell to cast upon meeting a stranger, comrade, or friend working for social and or environmental justice and liberation.
Wow, please share.
You are a miracle walking. I greet you with wonder. In a world which seeks to own your joy and your imagination, you have chosen to be free every day as a practice. I can never know the struggles you went through to get here, but I know you have swum upstream, and at times it has been lonely. I want you to know I honor the choices you made in solitude, and I honor the work you have done to belong. I honor your commitment to that which is larger than yourself and your journey to love the particular container of life that is you. You are enough. Your work is enough. You are needed. Your work is sacred. You are here, and I am grateful.
That was beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I ever shared that with you. Definitely huge thank you to them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on today.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that you would like our listeners to carry with them? Something to help them when their nervous system's overwhelmed? Maybe a line from a poem, just one note to leave listeners.
I will hearken to the days in the early pandemic when I couldn't go anywhere, was really homebound, and I found myself going for drives to the farmer's stand and buying a random plant or vegetable. And what I would do, I found myself playing music really loud and it's singing until eventually I would cry. And the difference in before and after was tremendous. So I recommend going and finding a way to get some tears out. And if that means singing really loud, some stuff that you know until it makes you cry, by all means. Tears have neurotransmitters that want to come out of our bodies.
Love it. Thank you so much. So everybody go out there and take a moment.
As we wrap this up, I want you to remember the difference between autopilot and choice. That can change everything. Ginelle reminded us even the smallest skills, a body scan, a pause, a tap, can bring back a sense of control. If that landed with you, take one tool from today and try it out this week.